Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, as you can see, we're going to be going over my round 2 tips. Before we do that though, let's just take a quick little look at how my round 1 tipping went. Alright, so as you can see here, I only got 4 right. That's 4 out of 9 for round 1. Not the best start at all. I got the Thursday night game correct. Well, I got it correct by default. It just counts the tip correct if it's a draw, so everyone got that one right. Then I didn't get the Friday night game right though, because yeah, I really didn't expect Collingwood to beat Geelong. That did surprise me. I got the North Melbourne v West Coast one correct. I think that was North Melbourne were favourites going into that match, but I saw a lot of people tip the Eagles as well. I didn't get the next game right. Port Adelaide smashed Brisbane. I did not see that one coming at all. Pretty much tipped the opposite thing to happen. Melbourne I got right. Gold Coast beating Sydney, that definitely didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen, but I mean, yeah, I'm pretty happy that I didn't get that tip correct, because it means my team won, and, well, they won pretty comfortably in the end. Adelaide, they definitely should have won that game. They should have, if they had a kick straight in the first half, it would have been 50-60 points. GWS weren't coming back from that. But they didn't kick straight. They kept GWS in the game despite them playing some of the worst footy I've ever seen. And when they finally did start, when they finally did click into gear, they looked really impressive, the Giants. It took them a while, but yeah, once they did click into gear, they looked like a very solid outfit. Yeah, I got the Essendon tip correct, and finally, I did not get the St Kilda tip correct. I tipped Fremantle like pretty much everyone else did, and I don't know, St Kilda, first game with a new coach and they got it done. I should just start tipping the new coach to win every game. It seems to happen every time. It doesn't... Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I guess the new coach is always able to rally up the troops. Alrighty, now to get into the tips. Starting off with Carlton taking on Geelong on the Thursday night. This is not an easy one to tip starting off. I really don't know who to tip here, to be honest. I'd say Geelong, despite losing, looked more impressive than Carlton, who obviously didn't lose, didn't win either. But it is a Carlton home game at the MCG. I really don't know. I'm actually not sure who to tip this one. I'll go Carlton, because Tom Stewart is going to be out this match for Geelong, and I think that could be a pretty big out. So I'm going to go Carlton by 6 points. Yeah, this is a really hard one to tip. Now moving on to Brisbane taking on Melbourne at the Gabba. Another hard one to tip. I'd assume that Melbourne would be going into this game favourites, because they smashed the Bulldogs, whereas the Lions did get smashed themselves. But it's at the Gabba, and that just... Oh, man. I really don't know who to tip in this one again. Surely Brisbane have got to respond after that, but Melbourne, they just look so impressive, so professional. Posy Pickett suspended for this match. That make much of a difference? Man, but they have like 4 other players coming back, and I think I gotta play it safe, and tip Melbourne by 11 points. Wouldn't be surprised if Brisbane bounced back either, but yeah, another really tough one to tip. Collingwood taking on Port Adelaide now. And, oh my god, they don't get any easier, do they? Oh, man. MCG, probably the 2 most impressive looking teams. I don't know. Oh, this is going to be even worse than the last round. Oh, man. It's at the MCG. I don't think. Yeah, I'll go Collingwood to win this one. I think they. Well, I rated Port Adelaide higher in my preseason prediction. I'm already starting to, or maybe I don't know. I think Collingwood showed that they're better than the 9th place team that I tipped them to be. That could change, but they look ultra impressive. And I'm going to tip them to win by 16 points. Adelaide taking on Richmond now. Oh, this is one I could easily see an upset happening, especially since Adelaide did beat Richmond last year at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide, very disappointing loss to GWS, but in that first half, they showed me enough to be still fairly excited about. Isaac Rankin, if he had a kick straight, would have had an unbelievable game. He looked unstoppable, he just couldn't convert in front of goal. They looked like their defensive structure was just holding up. I think they took like 10 intercept marks to 1 in the first quarter. They were dominating proceedings, but they just couldn't put on the board. They couldn't put GWS away, and eventually GWS finally clicked. They kicked accurately, more so than Adelaide, and they won the game. Richmond looked a bit sloppy against Carlton. They drew. A bit lucky to draw. I think Carlton probably should have won that game. So yeah, this is another really. Man, I don't know. I think I'm gonna regret it, but I'm gonna tip Adelaide in an upset. I'll go for it to be. I don't know. Oops. I'll go for them to win by 5 points in front of the home crowd. Not an easy one to tip at all. It could go either way. I think at Adelaide Oval, it's going to be an interesting match to watch. Neither side looked overly impressive. Adelaide did for a half. Richmond didn't really. Obviously, still a good side, but yeah, really, really hard one to tip. This one is again. Wow. I can't believe how ridiculous this round is going to be to tip. St Kilda, very impressive win over Fremantle. They had a multitude of injuries, and they got the job done for their new coach. Bulldogs, on the other hand, got beaten by 50 points. That 4-man key forward line, it did not work at all. It really didn't. There was too many tall players there. There wasn't enough ground level work, skilled ground level players. It just didn't work at all. But I think on paper they are a much better side than St Kilda. And for that reason, I'm going to tip them to bounce back. I'm going to tip them to win by 17 points. I'm fairly confident in Bulldogs bouncing back. They have enough talent across the ground, more so than St Kilda. But again, wouldn't surprise me if St Kilda grit out a win here. Finally, I think we've got a pretty easy one to tip. I can't see I mean, I know they lost to St Kilda last round, but surely they can't lose to North Melbourne at home. Surely. I'll tip them to win by 37 points. Sure, they have to win against North Melbourne. Surely. I know North Melbourne. I mean, they beat a team that finished 17th last year with 2 wins. You can't read into that too much. Fremantle, they've got to win this game. Alright, another hopefully fairly easy game to tip. I'm going to tip us to win fairly comfortably. But I don't know, I just have this little sneaking suspicion that Hawthorn could pull out a good performance seemingly out of nowhere. They usually do play well against us, and in the last couple of years, Hawthorn have had this tendency to just play good for one game for absolutely no reason and then go back to stinking it up. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again this match. But I would think that surely we get the win. We beat the Suns comfortably. I don't think they're that good, but I think Hawthorn are even worse than the Suns. Yeah, I'm going to tip us to win by 44 points. But I don't want to be too overconfident and cocky about this win. I think there's a tiny little chance that Hawthorn could perhaps surprise a few people. Essendon taking on Gold Coast now. Essendon look very impressive in round 1. Gold Coast, the complete opposite. It's at Essendon's home ground, so I'm going to tip them in this match. I don't really rate the Suns much at all. I'm going to tip Essendon by 24. Yeah, I know it was only against the Hawks, but they did look pretty impressive, the Hawks. The Dons, sorry, not the Hawks. They didn't look very impressive at all. And yeah, I don't know if the Suns will respond, if that was a one-off thing, but I think Essendon are a better side than them. Finally, the last game of the round, West Coast taking on GWS. It's at West Coast home ground, but GWS sure did look far more impressive than the Eagles. Man, this isn't an easy one to tip either. Do I tip the Eagles to bounce back? You know what? They lost to North Melbourne. I can't. I'm going to have to tip GWS to win this one. It's away from home. But if they play like they did in that second half for the whole game, there's no way the Eagles are winning this one. GWS genuinely did look very impressive. But if they play like they did in the first half, then the Eagles should win comfortably. Because GWS were as bad as any side I've seen in the first half. Yeah, but anyway, with that done, that is round 2 done. And I've got, at the end of round 2, Sydney on top with a comfortable win over Hawthorn. Essendon still up there, undefeated. Same with Melbourne, Collingwood and GWS. We've got Carlton with their first win of the season. Port Adelaide and Fremantle rounding out the top 8. St Kilda in 9th spot. Adelaide rising up a little bit in 10th. Same with the Bulldogs. North Melbourne slipping down a bit. Richmond still without a win. And then West Coast, Geelong. That's surprising. Brisbane, Gold Coast and Hawthorn all winless. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected Geelong to be 0-2 at the start of the season. But I think Carlton hopefully get a win for my tip there. And with that said, that is the video done. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.